Why settle for someone else's best cookie or just one type of cookie when you can make so many from one easy dough? Today, I'm going to show you how to customize a single cookie base into multiple delicious variations. Whether you love buttery classics, peanut butter richness, or deep chocolatey goodness. This recipe is a little bit of a choose your own cookie adventure. It is this flexibility that will give you the cookie you love and not just what I love. You get to choose your fat, butter for a crisp and rich flavor, lard or shortening for extra softness, my personal favorite, or peanut butter for an entirely new twist. You can also choose to have a vanilla base or a chocolate base to your cookie. Then we move on to mix-ins, chocolate chips, nuts, cocoa powder, and more. All this should come together to create your perfect cookie. Let's get started. Hi friend, come on in. We'll begin with the fat choice. Butter alone creates a thinner, crispier cookie, while lard or shortening yields a softer, puffier result. Because butter is so expensive, do you want the best of both worlds? Try a mix of butter and lard. Save on the butter and still get the soft, puffy result with the lard. Or, for a completely different flavor, substitute some of the fat with peanut butter for a nutty, rich variation. To bring this dough together, first we cream the fat with the sugar. Brown sugar for chewiness, white sugar for crispness. I use a mix of both. I also don't keep brown sugar in my house because it goes hard. If you don't have brown sugar like me, then add a little bit of molasses after you add in the eggs. It incorporates easier at that stage than trying to make your own brown sugar. If you do choose to make your own brown sugar, use a stand mixer. It goes a lot faster. If you haven't seen my video on making biscuits, I use the same principle of using lard in my biscuits to get a nice fluffy biscuit without the need for refrigeration. I'll link that in the cards for you. I like to add my eggs one at a time, followed by vanilla and a touch of salt to balance the flavors. You should always add a little bit of salt to sweet things. It does help balance the flavors quite a bit. You wouldn't think it, but it does bring out a natural sweetness. Finally, we incorporate flour and leavening. In this case, I'm using baking soda. This is where your next choice comes into play, a vanilla base or a chocolate base. If you want to make a chocolate cookie, swap out some of the flour for cocoa powder. It is also very easy to split a batch in half and customize each half, especially with the mix-ins. Now speaking of mix-ins, now that we have some dough at the ready, it's time to personalize it. I'm going to go through a few options and I'll show you what they look like out of the oven. The Classic uses regular chocolate chips. Nutty Delight uses walnuts and chocolate chips. Mint Lovers uses mint chocolate chips. White Chocolate and Macadamia uses white chocolate chips and diced macadamia nuts. The Everything Cookie uses trail mix, mixed nuts, pretzels, and chocolate chips. But when using salty additions, make sure to decrease the salt in the dough to keep things balanced. The Chocolate Lovers uses the chocolate base with chocolate chips alone, or mix in some white chocolate for a lovely reversed cookie. Chocolate Mint Lovers uses the chocolate base and mint chocolate chips. Peanut Butter Lovers uses dark and milk chocolate chips in a peanut butter base. It can also use regular chocolate chips or even peanut butter chips if you want to double down on the peanut flavor. Make it your own. Use any base with any mix-in you like. Butterscotch chips, toffee pieces, pretzels and chocolate, they all work. Once mixed, scoop out dough balls and place them on a baking sheet. If you are using butter, chilling the dough will result in a puffier cookie. Freezing the dough will get you an even puffier cookie, while baking straight from room temperature gives a thinner, crispier cookie. Speaking of texture, adding in another tablespoon or two of flour will result in a puffier cookie, but too much flour will give a drier, harder cookie, so be aware. Bake at 350 degrees until golden brown. This is usually around 10 to 12 minutes. I like to pre-shape my dough before freezing so I can cook it straight from frozen. Freeze the individual balls on a cookie sheet before bagging to prevent sticking. But in that case, I find another minute or two extra is needed to make sure the cookie is cooked. There are some options here as well. Cooking for the minimum time will produce a gooier cookie. Longer will get you a crispier cookie. Allowing the cookie to finish cooking on the hot baking sheet after coming out of the oven will also give you a cookie between the gooey and the crispy, more soft and melty. And here they are, so many different cookies and all from the same cookie dough. Whether you prefer classic, nutty, minty, or extra chocolatey, this method lets you create your perfect cookie. This was the mixed butter and lard base. So this was the warm one, this was the cold one. This was just the butter base. This is only lard, and this is the lard plus peanut butter base. As you can see, each cookie kind of has a different texture to it. The butter and lard mixed and the lard alone produce a nice puffy cookie. The peanut butter, I think it's because it had a lot of extra flour in it. Even though all of them have the same weight of flour, this one was a drier dough, and I think it just affected the ratio. But they're all different, and it really depends on what you're looking for in your cookie style. These ones, so these hold up. I can pick these up no problem. This one is pretty good as well. I'm just going to get chocolate everywhere. But these ones, they're stuck to the silpat. I had to kind of scrape them off, and they're still stuck. In the choose your own cookie adventure, it will really depend if you want a stiffer cookie, if you want a very soft cookie that falls apart, if you want a cookie that's a little puffier but soft in the middle. There's all the different styles of cookie, and which one you choose is ultimately up to you. But hopefully I have given you the tools to figure out what kind of cookie base you will need in order to make the cookie that you will like. Let me know in the comments which variation you'd try first. Let's share. What did you end up adding to your cookie to make it interesting and exciting? And don't forget to subscribe for more baking inspiration. Thanks for baking with me today. If you enjoyed this, check out my chicken chili recipe for a versatile weeknight mini meal plan, and stay tuned for more delicious customizable treats. This has been The Cookie Adventure. Thanks for watching.